everyone, my name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today we are going to be talking more about asexuality, specifically being an asexual person and having relationships with non-asexual people and dealing with some of the pressures that can go along with that, particularly around orgasm during partnered sexual activities. I know this is kind of a big topic. This was actually brought to us today by some suggestions that I received on my last video talking about asexuality, which covered masturbation as an asexual person. In that video, I very briefly mentioned that it can sometimes be difficult as an asexual person with a non-asexual partner to deal with some of the pressure that goes around having orgasms during sex. And so today I just wanted to talk about that, share my thoughts about it, share some of my opinions, maybe some advice, and maybe if you are an asexual person, some of this will resonate with you. Maybe it won't, because all asexuals relate to this in a very different way. And maybe if you are somebody with an asexual partner, this could help you understand them more. And if you don't know anything about asexuality at all, maybe this will help you have a little bit more awareness in your life. What I am not doing in this video is debating whether or not asexuality exists or is caused by a medical reason or is an illness or can be fixed or anything like that. I am not debating whether or not asexuality is real or whether or not I am asexual. Please do not put that stuff in my comment section. Anyways, today, again, we are going to be discussing having relationships with a non-asexual person and dealing with some of the pressure on that. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is just to emphasize all asexual people are different. Not all asexual people have the same relationships, preferences, comfort level, anything else. We are all individual people with our own individual experiences. When it comes to asexuality, some asexuals choose not to engage in any type of relationship because they'd rather not deal with that pressure and they're just happy being by themselves. Some people choose to only engage in relationships with other asexual spectrum people because that is what works for their brain and they're able to create the types of relationships they want with that. I would say that most people who are asexual at some point in their lives will probably experience a relationship with somebody who is not also asexual, simply because there are so many more non-asexual people than there are asexual people. And so if you're just organically meeting people and going out places and meeting friends of friends, you will probably end up feeling, if not sexual attraction, some kind of romantic attraction to a person who's not also asexual. And when you find yourself in a relationship with somebody who doesn't have the exact same sexual orientation as you do, there's always going to be a little bit of complications that can go along with that. Just some differences in understanding and how we relate to our own sexuality and the way that we like to engage with partners. Again, all asexuals have a different relationship with this. Some people want purely, absolutely non-sexual relationships, no sexual contact whatsoever. Some asexual people, because they enjoy making their partner happy, because it's not a big deal to them, because they like the bonding experience, because it helps them feel romantically close to their partner, choose to engage in sexual relationships along with their romantic ones. This can take a lot of different forms. Some people just do like sexual, like vague touching or cuddling with something with sort of a sexual element to it. Some people engage in oral sex, some people have full intercourse, some people do mutual masturbation. Basically anything that runs the sexual experience gamut, asexual people may or may not choose to engage in those things. But like I said, there are differences in the way that we happen to relate to our sexuality in comparison to other people. But when you are asexual, I think there is like an added difficulty level to trying to explain it, because it tends to be very, very different from the perspective that non-asexual people have. On the surface, when it comes to wanting a partner to have an orgasm during sex, it's based on a selfless principle. We want the people who are with us to be happy, and when it comes to sex, happiness usually looks like an orgasm. If the person is enjoying the experience, surely they will have an orgasm, and if they don't, that means that they didn't, and I did something wrong, and needs to change or be fixed. And the mentality around that is not generally something that a lot of asexual people share. This is not to say that like sexual people are even like super aware or have the same feelings about having a partner have an orgasm during sex, but if they do tend to value it, it tends to come from a place of I want my partner to also be happy when we have sex, and the way that we do that is through having an orgasm. Asexual people who tend to engage in sexual experiences with partners like myself, I don't really care either way. It's actually usually more of a problem for me to have an orgasm during sex than to not, and it would actually really be better for me if that was not really part of the equation. It makes everything a lot more work, it makes things a lot more stressful, and in particular, when I'm already doing something that I'm not super hyped up about, I don't want to feel pressured to perform in a certain way. And so I think that's where the disconnect comes in. And in particular, it can be difficult to explain this sort of relationship to a partner and have it be done in a productive way, have it be done in a sensitive way, have it be something where everybody feels like their perspectives are heard. Because oftentimes, at least again in my experience, when sexual people are told that a partner doesn't care about having an orgasm during sex, they don't take it seriously, because for many of them, the experience of having an orgasm is the reason to have sex. Why would you have sex if you didn't have an orgasm? And again, if you didn't have an orgasm, you didn't enjoy it, or it wasn't good enough, or XYZ, and it was a failure. And because they have that particular framework, it is really, really, really hard to honestly just accept at face value that no, I really actually don't care about having an orgasm, and it's more of a problem if we try to make that happen. Honestly, I really think a lot of the solution for this is having good, open, ongoing dialogue with the partner, and just, after sex, maybe not immediately, but at some point, having a little bit of a debrief, just talking about how things went. Again, having moments where you can ask each other questions, having moments where you can share your feelings, and hopefully over time, over just natural growth in the relationship, you will come to a point where both parties can understand that they are being honest about their wants and their needs. And I think something that comes up when I think about this is, while superficially it can seem that the desire for a partner to have an orgasm comes from a selfless place, the pressure to have a partner have an orgasm during sex, I think, takes a little bit more of a selfish turn instead, because it becomes less about what that person genuinely wants and more pressure that I need you to react this way to this thing that we're doing, and if we don't, it will be a failure to me. This is not to say that it's wrong to feel that way or that somebody shouldn't feel this way. I just think it's important to recognize that typically the pressure for a partner to have an orgasm is not something that is purely altruistic, because if it was, then it would not be a problem for a partner to say, oh, well, then I don't really want that, and say, okay, great, that's not what you want, perfect, we'll just roll with that. It's so hard for people to accept that orgasms are not really the be-all end-all of a partnered experience, that it just gets like refocused in this weird way where it's actually very, very important for the person to have another person have a specific experience, which can be very, very hard to create, even within relationships that don't involve an asexual person, even within relationships where none of the people involved are asexual. I think it is important to talk to people that you're in relationships with about why you enjoy engaging in sex and what your priorities are, what you enjoy feeling, what you enjoy experiencing, because there does tend to, again, be this sort of disconnect, and the more you can talk about this, I think the easier it will be for everybody involved to kind of accept the place that their partner is at. So if you can give somebody the framework of why you enjoy having sex, maybe it's because I enjoy feeling close with you, or I enjoy skin-to-skin contact, or I enjoy having the bonding experience afterward, I enjoy the cuddling afterwards. If you can let them know kind of where your brain is at, it becomes so much easier to then have a negotiation around, like, what do we actually want to include in our sexual activities, like what is important to us, how can we navigate this in a successful way. And for those of you who don't know or don't really watch a lot of my other videos, I mostly talk about BDSM. Like, kink and BDSM are the big things that I talk about, and so negotiation and talking with your partner about the experiences you want to have is sort of inherent in that process. And I think if we can take that mentality and also put it into our sexual relationships, that will create a lot more mutually beneficial outcomes for more people. Because you can come up with compromises for the sorts of experiences you want to have, so everybody feels fulfilled and happy without having to make anybody unduly uncomfortable or spend 2 hours trying to make something happen that's simply not going to happen. And if you break it down in terms of the more selfless aspects of why somebody would want to have a partner to have an orgasm, and it is really about truly, genuinely, they want to make sure that the partner is happy, but the only way that they know that happiness looks like during sex is during an orgasm, you can go and you can say, okay, no, this is what really makes me happy. If your genuine concern is making me happy, these are the things that make me happy. These are the feelings, the reactions that I have when I'm happy. And maybe that means you come up with a little bit of an exchange where maybe, okay, the partner you're with who is the non-asexual person, they get to have the sexual experience they want in terms of having the orgasm or the oral sex, whatever it is they like having, with the understanding that you aren't necessarily going to orgasm, but maybe instead they can make you feel happy with cuddling or watching your favorite TV show with them or with a foot rub or something else that's sort of like an equivalent value. Like, you kind of have to come up with what your equivalent values are. So if for them they consider having an orgasm to be worth 50 points, what is the thing that's worth 50 points to you as an asexual? How can you make this like an equal exchange, or roughly an equal exchange of things that you both enjoy doing with each other that helps you feel bonded and connected in their relationship? And this can be a little bit difficult, again, to navigate. It can seem kind of clinical. I know a lot of people don't feel super comfortable with like really in detail talking about sexual activities, and it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but I guarantee you, if you talk to your partner about the experiences you want to have, if you just take the time to understand that it's going to be awkward at first, but that you will get better if you practice, overall, everybody involved is going to have a much better experience. Now, if you're dealing with somebody who has a mindset where they really enjoy spontaneity. They want to be able to have spontaneous connection. They want to be able to act on their urges when the urges happen, which is not necessarily something that I fully understand, but if you do have somebody in your life that has that as part of what the desire from sex is, being able to act on spontaneity, you don't have to go, okay, woo, whistle, we need to stop here and talk about this game plan of exactly what's going to happen and what's going to happen. You can still engage in that spontaneity, but instead of having that be the only element of it, you can also talk about it in advance, which is to say, the times when conversation about sex should be happening is not only when the sex is happening or immediately before, but an ongoing dialogue as part of the relationship, which I've already mentioned several times so far. So if you do have a person who wants to be able to act on spontaneity, don't want to have to like plan a bunch of stuff out in advance, just make sure you have time to talk about it during other parts of the relationship so you both understand what's going on. And yeah, I think that's really all there is to it, is just being able to talk to your partner about what your needs and wants and experiences are. And hopefully, if they're a good partner, they can take that at face value and trust you to understand what your own body needs and what your true wants are, and not being so selfish that they continue to pressure you to do things that you don't really want to do for the sake of their own pleasure. And don't be afraid to call people out if they do try to do the BS about pressuring you because, well, orgasms are good for you and I think it would just be better if you had one and this is important to me and blah, blah, blah. Like, if it's truly something you don't want to experience, please feel empowered to stick up for your boundaries. Now, you can make compromises about this if it is really, really important to your partner that you have an orgasm. Again, you can compromise. You can say, okay, I do want to be able to have a shared experience of an orgasm with my partner, but it needs to be in the context of them truly understanding where your head is in that moment with that experience. They need to be able to understand that when you have an orgasm, there's not going to be this sudden switch that totally changes your relationship to asexuality. And I believe that sometimes there is this hope, maybe, that like, if the partner can have an orgasm, they will just get over their asexuality. They will suddenly have a different relationship to the sex that they're having, and that's usually not what happens. And I think really, in order to have healthy, successful relationships, we need to be able to understand that like there are just certain things about our partners that we're not going to be able to change, and wanting to have orgasms may or may not be one of them. Some people learn over time that certain techniques or experiences work with them to have orgasms with partners in a way that they genuinely enjoy. Some people never have that, and it's about just understanding that you should be able to meet the partner where they're at, not pressuring them to do things that make them truly uncomfortable, and just wanting to truly have genuinely mutually enjoyable experiences. And that doesn't always look like simultaneous paired orgasms. Sometimes it looks like one person having an orgasm and then the other person, having a scoop of ice cream afterwards, or a piece of cake, as asexuals sometimes like to say. I should have worn that shirt. I have a shirt that says I'd rather be eating cake on it. But I didn't wear it today for this video. Should have. We'll remember it for next time. But that is basically everything that I wanted to say in today's video. Hopefully some of this made sense to you. Some of it maybe even resonated with you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What is it like being an asexual person and having non-asexual partners? I would love to know what you think. There's just so much to cover in this particular topic area, and it's so individual. If you do have any suggestions for other videos related to asexuality you'd like to see, you can leave it down in the comment section below. If you'd like to see more from me, I do make videos twice a week, and if you want to see those, you can subscribe to my channel. Link is down there below. If you really want to support my work, if you want to see more exclusive content from me, extra videos, photo shoots, all of that great stuff, link to that will be down below. And if you do already support me on Patreon, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you guys next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.